stupid ass bitch. I tried to tell your fucking ass a long fucking time ago. You dumb fucking bitch. Oh my bitch. I tried to tell you. Come here. No. Time ago. Motherfucker. Come here.
Cleave, stop!
No,
I'm yours!
you not mine!
You can me right. You can me right now! Help!
Right now?
Yes!
Show me.
Okay!
Show me. Prove
Let's
it to me.
go!
Prove it to me.
Let's go!
Take your hand off the gun.
I will!
Take your hand off the gun.
But you have to pull my pants down!
Okay, take your hand off the
Stop!
gun. Take your hand off the gun.
Kareem! Stop! Hey,
That's what I'm saying. If you don't take your hand off the gun, you is going to get shot by this.
parking lot! Stop!
Told you. Told you.
Kareem! Stop!
No, bro.
He was shot multiple times. He spent 10 hours in surgery. He was placed in a coma. And when he woke up, he was the one facing criminal charges. January 31st, 2023, Atlanta, Georgia. A MARTA Police Department parking area. The woman holding the gun that night was not a criminal. She was a sergeant. A badge-carrying sworn law enforcement officer with 17 years on the force. Her name was Cheryl Lashai Clark. And the man she shot was someone she knew very well. According to witnesses and the victim himself, Clark had lured Clevean Lambert to that parking lot under false pretenses. What happened next is where the official story and the truth begin to separate. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded that Lambert had reached for her weapon, that she fired in self-defense. Lambert says he was running away when the bullets hit him, 8 of them. A severed brachial artery. 10 hours of surgery, multiple blood transfusions, a medically induced coma. Clevean Lambert nearly lost his arm. He nearly lost his life. Sergeant Clark was terminated from the MARTA Police Department. She was not arrested. She was not charged. She was not prosecuted. Clevean Lambert was. Tonight, we are going to examine exactly how that happened. We are going to go through the evidence, the timeline, and the body cam footage from that night. Footage that has existed since 2023, that every investigator in this case has seen, and that no major platform has ever publicly examined frame by frame. Until now. To understand what happened in that parking lot, you first need to understand the world that existed before the shooting. Cheryl Lashai Clark was not a rookie. She was a 17-year veteran of the MARTA Police Department, the transit authority that serves the entire Atlanta metropolitan area. She had earned the rank of sergeant. She carried a badge, a firearm, and the full institutional authority of law enforcement behind her name. She was also married. Clevean Lambert was an ex-convict. No badge, no institutional protection, and critically, no credibility buffer if 2 accounts of the same event ever came into conflict. These 2 people had a relationship, a secret one, hidden from Clark's husband, hidden from her department, hidden from the professional world she occupied every single day. Think about what that power imbalance actually looks like in practice. One person in this relationship could make an arrest, could call for backup, could file a report and have it become the official record. The other person could not do any of those things. That asymmetry, badge on one side, record on the other, is the foundation everything else in this case is built on. On the night of January 31st, 2023, something changed between them. Lambert says he received a message from Clark asking him to come to the MARTA police station parking area. He came. What he says she wanted from him that night, and what she did when he refused, is the version of events that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation chose not to center.
Cleave, stop!
No,
I'm yours.
You not
I am.
mine!
You can't me right. You can't me right now. Ow!
Right now?
Yes.
Show me.
Okay.
Show me. Prove
Let's
it to me.
go.
Prove it to me.
Let's go.
Take your hand off the gun.
I will.
Take your hand off the gun.
But you have to pull my pants down.
Okay, take your hand off the
Stop.
gun. Take your hand off the gun.
Kareem. Stop. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't take your hand off the gun, you is going to get shot by this.
Parking lot.
What both accounts agree on is this. Shots were fired, 8 of them, and Clevean Lambert was the one who fell. A severed brachial artery is not a minor wound. It is the kind of injury that kills people before they reach the operating table. Lambert made it to surgery. He spent 10 hours there. He received multiple blood transfusions. He was placed in a medically induced coma while his body tried to survive what had been done to it. And while he was unconscious, while he was fighting to stay alive, the machinery of the official investigation was already moving.
Lots of bruising and cuts, but they're checking her out with CT scans and x-rays, and I believe she's going to make a full recovery.
MARTA Police Chief Scott Crayer says Monday night around 9, they got a call for help coming from that sergeant.
In the middle of the argument, a fight ensued where he began to beat her about the face and hands, and she ended up shooting him, striking him twice.
Crayer says she knew the man. It was her ex-boyfriend. He says the two agreed to meet up along Forsyth Street near the station.
That's another surprising aspect of this, is that he would instigate a fight like this, knowing that she was, number one, a police officer, and two, in uniform on duty. So we're a little concerned about that.
Police were able to catch up and arrest the boyfriend, who was taken to Grady. He and the officer are expected to be okay. Meanwhile, he faces a slew of charges.
It's still too early to know why they decided to meet, where they met. That'll be part of our investigation.
And meanwhile, we are still working with police to learn more about the suspect and who he is. Meanwhile, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation at this point is taking over the investigation, as with most officer-involved shootings.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation reviewed this case and reached a conclusion. Their finding was that Clevean Lambert had reached for Sergeant Clark's weapon while it was still in her holster. That once the gun was drawn, she fired in self-defense. That what happened in that parking lot was a justified use of force by a law enforcement officer responding to an immediate physical threat. That is the official version. And if you accept it without examination, it closes the case cleanly. But the official version requires you to accept some things that do not hold up when you look at them directly. It requires you to believe that a man reached for a holstered weapon belonging to a police sergeant, and that neutralizing that threat required 8 shots. It requires you to believe that at no point during those 8 shots was the threat resolved before the final round. It requires you to accept the GBI's conclusion without examining the one piece of evidence that was present during the entire incident, that recorded everything that happened and that every investigator in this case has had access to: the body cam footage. Here is what we know about that footage. It exists. It was reviewed by the GBI as part of their investigation. It was reviewed internally by MARTA, and MARTA's internal review reached a conclusion different enough from the GBI's that Sergeant Clark lost her job over it. Think about what that means. 2 institutions reviewed the same evidence. One concluded that the shooting was justified and filed no charges. The other concluded that what Clark did was serious enough to end a 17-year career. Both conclusions cannot be right, and the body cam footage is the thing that most directly speaks to which one is closer to the truth. When we examine that footage, the footage that has been available since January of 2023 and that no major platform has publicly analyzed, what it shows is not consistent with the GBI's account of Lambert reaching for a holstered weapon and Clark responding. What it shows is more consistent with what Lambert has said from the beginning. that he was moving away. There is a pattern that investigators and legal scholars who study police accountability cases have documented repeatedly. It has been called the preemptive charge. When an officer's conduct is legally questionable, filing criminal charges against the civilian involved before any public examination of the evidence accomplishes several things simultaneously. It establishes the civilian as the aggressor in the official record. It complicates any future civil lawsuit they might bring. And it shifts the public narrative from a story about what the officer did to a story about the criminal history and alleged behavior of the person who was shot. Clevean Lambert was charged with assault on an officer. That charge was filed against a man who was still recovering from emergency surgery, a man who had survived a coma, a man who had nearly bled out from a severed brachial artery. The charge was filed based on the same GBI conclusion that had already cleared Sergeant Clark of any criminal wrongdoing. The same investigation, the same finding. One outcome for the woman with the badge, a different outcome for the man without one. So let us put it all together. We have the GBI's conclusion, reached on the basis of a self-defense claim by the officer who fired 8 shots. We have MARTA's internal finding, serious enough to terminate Clark's employment after 17 years, but apparently not serious enough to prompt a referral for criminal prosecution. We have the body cam footage, reviewed by both institutions, available to the public, and inconsistent with the official account of events. We have the injury, a man shot 8 times, a severed brachial artery, 10 hours in surgery, a medically induced coma. The physical evidence of what those 8 shots produced. And we have the charge, filed against the person who sustained all of that. What we do not have is a criminal prosecution of the person who pulled the trigger 8 times. The question that the official investigation never publicly answered is not complicated. If the body cam footage supports the GBI's conclusion, if it shows Lambert reaching for a holstered weapon, if it shows Clark responding to a genuine and immediate threat, why was MARTA's internal review serious enough to end her career? And if MARTA's internal review found something that the GBI's conclusion did not account for, if the footage shows something different from what the official report describes, then why was no one charged with a crime? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the actual unanswered questions at the center of this case. And the fact that they remain unanswered 2 years after the shooting, with the footage available with both investigations complete, is itself the story. There is a broader context that makes this case what it is, and it is worth naming it directly. Clevean Lambert's status as an ex-convict did not cause what happened to him in that parking lot, but it shaped every decision that was made afterward. His prior record made him a more credible aggressor in the official narrative. It made the self-defense claim easier to sustain. It made the charge against him easier to file and harder for him to fight. Sergeant Clark's status as a law enforcement officer did not give her the right to shoot someone 8 times and face no criminal consequences. But it shaped every decision that was made afterward as well. It gave her account institutional weight. It meant that the investigation was conducted by an agency whose relationship with law enforcement is structural and ongoing. It meant that the body cam footage was reviewed inside a system that had every incentive to accept the cleaner conclusion. These are not accusations. They are documented patterns, and this case fits those patterns in ways that should trouble anyone who believes that the outcome of a shooting investigation should be determined by what the evidence shows, not by who was holding the gun when it went off. Sergeant Cheryl Lashai Clark is no longer employed by the MARTA Police Department. She was terminated following the internal review of the shooting. She has not been arrested. She has not been charged with any crime. No prosecution has been initiated. Clevean Lambert survived. He came through the surgery, came out of the coma, and has spoken publicly about what happened to him. He is the reason this case has any public record at all, outside of official reports. The assault charge filed against him, assault on an officer, filed while he was still in a hospital bed, is part of the official record of this case. Its current status is something every person who has followed this story deserves to know, and it is something that the relevant court records will reflect. The GBI closed their investigation. MARTA closed theirs. The body cam footage remained in files that no one with a platform chose to open seriously. Until now. There is one question that neither investigation answered. Not officially, not publicly. If Clevean Lambert had been the one with the badge, and Cheryl Clark had been the one who was shot, does this case look the same? You already know the answer. If this case made you feel something, if it made you angry, if it raised questions you want answered, if you think more people need to know about Clevean Lambert and what happened to him in that parking lot, share this video. Right now. That is how stories like this one stop being invisible. Subscribe to Hidden Criminal Files. Every case we cover is one that deserves more than a closed file and a quiet conclusion. We are going to keep opening them. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you think the body cam footage shows. Tell us what you think the charge against Lambert means. This conversation does not end when the video does. And if you know of a case in your community, in your city, involving someone whose story has never been told properly, put it in the comments. We are listening. We will see you on the next one.
Can you ready on this back? Oh, okay. You gonna get the firearms?
Also make sure nobody's against also people blocked off.
We're going to your room, Tawana.
That's why I was like, wait. I'm sorry. Whenever you get a chance, I'm gonna have to roll her, take the belt off. Okay.
You got her sticker? Yeah. Here, bro. I'm gonna just run out the other way. I'm coming. Just take the stretcher out. You got her belt? Yeah. Just relax. Just lay back. I got you. Yes.
Okay. April.
She's turning off
One
the camera.
second.
Herself,
Right.
and you know, you come in the picture. Is that's what it was?
Right. So that's why I said that people can't believe the narratives that's out there. Shorty was married when we met, and that's how we got the situation, the understanding that we had.
Okay.
Because she was married, and she like, yo, I'm married. I'm in the middle of a divorce.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I'm in a relationship, and we got something going on. You know, so we start seeing each other. And about a month later, she was divorced, finalized. So, you know, it ain't like the whole entire time she cheating on her husband, you know. So that's how that came about with the kind of relationship we had. But after a year and a half, I mean, I'm still with my girl. You got divorced and you with me, but I'm still with my girl. So, you know, she can't act like she didn't know.
Okay.
Because I go home to my woman every night.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
So now the question is, so how long this whole thing was going between you and her?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. So during that 2 years, do she get to finalize closing the divorce or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you, a month into our relationship, she was divorced. About a month and a half.
Got it. Okay. So now, and to be clear, and she was a police officer during that time.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
Okay.
she was police.
Okay. So now, before we get to the whole big mess that's on the social media, did you guys ever have a lot of argument before, in that kind of similar to what happened? That ever happened?
No.
No. So what happened on that situation? That's the first time it ever happened.
No. We went about a good year and a half never arguing.
Okay.
It was one incident where she got caught in a lie.
Okay.
And I realized I can't trust her. I cursed the fuck out that day.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was the first incident. Then we had an argument over my car, which that's a story, a narrative that nobody knows the full story about. And then she told my actual girlfriend everything about me and her.
Okay.
We didn't even argue about that. We didn't even have another argument until right before the shooting. So we had about three or four arguments in 2 years.
Did you ever think it would be necessary to kind of like, since she's okay for polygamy, for you to bring your your other girlfriend that you have in the picture with her? Did you ever bring that to your other girlfriend?
Yeah, so I tried to ease it. Easing into my, after we talked about it a couple of times, but she just wasn't with it, and the circumstances, it just wasn't lined up. But the very first time that I tried to break it up with old girl, and it's just like, a few months in, I tried to break it off with her, and I'm like, look, I think I'm gonna try to make my relationship work. And she just crying, and she like, hey, you could have both of us, She like, I just want to be the lead.
Correct.
And I'm like, nah, me and this girl been together, on and off 20 years. How you gonna take the lead? And so I tried to break it off with her that day, and she cried and cried and cried. And I got in my car and left, and I drove a few blocks away, and she followed me. She got out the car crying. She's standing there. So, that was the first time. We didn't argue that day, but I tried to break up with her that day.
Okay. So now, for the video that's online, we cannot go to detail because you still got caught, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we still kind of like on the process with it. Now, even we don't go to the detail, can you tell us what's lead to the mess? I mean, is it the same polygamy thing, or what's lead to this whole thing? What was argument you guys have that lead to the situation?
So it was a mess. So once she told me and my girlfriend, we had a fallout. So I left home. For a little bit, and I was with her. I was with her for a few weeks, and just home was, it was volatile or whatever. I stayed in a hotel for a few weeks, but I resented her. Because she knew what it was, and she knew that even though we doing this, I love this other person. So she figured, if I tell her everything, that's gonna end them, and then me and her be together. So I resented her for that, and it just I never looked at her the same.
Okay. So now, when the situation that's happened online, from what I heard, that she was at work, you go to okay. You go.
My fault. Yeah.
Did you go to the police station?
Right.
But when you go, what was your intention? Did you go to have a conversation?
Right. So we was arguing about a few things.
Okay.
Right. And one of them was that, but the other one was that when you decided to break us up, and you realize how much I resent you, now you don't want to be in a relationship with me no more, or you want to act like you don't. You know what I'm saying? So we together, but I'm angry a lot all the time, and so she just started exploring other options or whatever. So I caught her talking to a guy. She lying about hanging out with officers and stuff like that, and I'm catching her in lies, and I'm like, well, why you break me up in my relationship? Why did you ruin that? And now, because how I feel about you for that, now you run into something else. Some people got to be attached to somebody all the time. So and that's one of the reasons that it lasted so long. One thing was that she came out of a 10-year marriage, whole family, house, husband, blended family. They got family coming over to the divorce, and that house being empty. So eventually she let friends move in, and friends moved out, and then the lady died that was in the house, so the house is now empty. So she's wanting to spend more time with me, so she's seeing us like a family, and I'm like, nah, this not that. My heart still hurt from that situation. That was only a couple of months ago. So I guess, naturally, people who are emotionally dependent, they want to find people who are safe places, or or who are reassuring. I mean, who doesn't? But some people are emotionally dependent. They gotta have people around. They gotta have somebody, a person. Some people have never been. I don't think she's ever been single since high school. She go from relationship to relationship until she got married. So anyway, leading up to that, I resented her. We had a couple of spats. I was catching her doing things, and then she did something vindictive. I'm calling her one day, and I'm waiting in my car. She had put a gun in my car. So I'm calling her, and I'm telling her, yo, I just left work or whatever. I'm sitting at the gas station, and she telling me she not home. She went to work. All of a sudden, cops pull up. I get locked up with the gun in my car. That's hers. She come to court the next day. She tell the judge it was her gun. She put it in the car. She even asked for the gun back. But they didn't let her. They let me out of jail. So we was arguing about that. And I had a car issue, and I needed to get a battery. So I parked my car near her house. We had an argument that day because she lied about where she spent the night. So when I came to her house, parked my car, switched cars, she called the sheriff department and said it was a car that's abandoned, and they towed my car. So I don't know this yet, though.
Okay.
So I tell her, hey, look, let's talk about, we going back and forth. Oh, and some money too, because I had some money in her account or whatever. And I'm arguing with her to get my money back or whatever. Okay. So we talking about all of that stuff.
Okay.
And I tell her that, look, I'm gonna be in Atlanta, so I'll meet you at the job. She not at work yet, so she come to work in uniform right before her shift. And that's when everything started, going left. We out there arguing, The next thing you know, I wake up in the hospital.
Yeah. Now, we're not gonna talk about the whole situation. It looked like that was a lot going on between you and her. So now, my thing is, what was going through your mind when she started laying those shots out when you were in the car?
I felt like I swallowed a grenade and just blew up inside of me.
And how many times you got shot?
3. She shot me twice in the back, as you can see in the video.
Yeah.
But one of the shots, when she walked up on the window, I raised my arm to try to block my face, and it went through my artery. And it went in here, came out here. So that was an artery. So that's why I flatlined a couple of times and had blood transfusions. When the police was on the news saying that I was in stable condition, I was still in surgery. You know what I'm saying? I was in surgery for 8 hours straight. So I couldn't have been in stable condition. I was in ICU for a month after that.
Okay. Damn. So the incident happened. A bunch of shot went off to the car. Did you drive the car to the hospital, or you crashed somewhere? So how far away you crashed from her?
Not even a block away.
But she didn't follow through you though. She just like
I don't know. I seen the videos, but it's not something I could recollect from my memory.
Okay, so you crashed not far away. I'm guessing she didn't follow through to proceed and go towards you. So
no, she did.
So she did to go towards the car?
Yeah, she actually ran to the car, tried to open the doors.
Trying to help you out?
I don't know.
So
she ripped the person ripped the knobs off the door, trying to get the doors open.
Okay. So when you woke up, you was in the hospital. So when you woke up, you were in the hospital. What was the next thing that happened? Did you remember?
I woke up and I couldn't feel this arm, and it was probably like twice this size. And they was asking me to move my fingers. I was saying I can't. I felt my hand just dying, just withering away. And they're like, look, we're going to have to cut your arm off. They said, we know you've been in surgery all night. They said, but the only way to save this arm is for you to go right back in surgery right now. So I nodded. You know, I went back in surgery. But that time, I guess with all the trauma on my body, I didn't wake up for the next 5 days. And you know, the stories that they say, people say when they, you know, when they have near-death experiences, when they talk to God and you have you have one of them experiences. I had one of those.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that throughout that time, I'm sure you probably don't remember nothing. You could feel like you were sleeping the whole time.
Nah, I wasn't asleep. I was alive. I was conscious. I just wasn't here. I wasn't in this universe. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a little personal, deep experience that I had. You know, sometimes when it's not for you, you know, you got God kind of give you a nudge. You know.
Yeah. So now, when you fully woke up, did those cops in the hospital put you on handcuff or anything? What happened?
Yeah. One of the experiences I remember, and I guess, you know, I was coming out of the coma at that point because I was a little bit conscious. But my sister had been talking to the FBI and the GBI the entire time. And actually, they have a something called the Glasgow scale. It's a scale that I think like between 1 and 15 determine how much life you have. 1 is dead, 15 is alive like you and me. I was at 3. So they told my sister, like, yo, he gonna be dead by the end of the day. You could get the body or whatever. So my sister drove out here with the FBI and she met up with the GBI. And I heard her, because what happened was they changed my name so many times to keep anybody from finding me. Every time somebody get close to finding out who I am, they change the name again. So my sister and my ex-girlfriend at the time, they running through the hospital looking in all the rooms. Finally, they find who the alias they had me under, which was a guy named Jason Boone.
Why would they keep changing your name?
They didn't want nobody to find my body. They wouldn't want the media there. You know, it was still under investigation by the GBI. So, you know, they was trying to really cover it up. Bottom line, they was trying to cover it up. You know, if I would have died, nobody would have got details. Nobody would have probably saw the body camera or anything like that. I mean, my family was fighting for it, but they was trying to cover it up. Bottom line, you know, they even had MARTA guarding me at the time. And finally, my lawyer stepped in like, yo, if MARTA is claiming to be the victim, how is they, you know, watching over his body? So they switched departments. And I think Fulton County Sheriff's Department stepped in.
Okay. So now, when you woke up, and what happened? Did you was in a handcuff? And what happened next? Now is what caused everything being code? What happened to the person that she was having the problem with? Do she got locked up, or do you went to jail? What happened?
Nothing so far. She got fired.
Okay. Oh, so she didn't go to jail throughout the situation?
No.
Got it.
She got fired.
Okay, she got fired. Okay.
And I think that maybe she held on to her job long enough because she ended up pregnant. So, you know, I don't know if I'm the father or anything like that. You know, I hope.
But you guys ain't being communicated because you guys ain't court.
Right. But you know, it's probably supposedly it's one of the guys she was messing with.
Oh, it could be you.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
So,
So now, You didn't go to jail after that, right?
I did.
Why?
They charged me for whatever she said on the report. You know, even though it wasn't on the body cam, whatever she said on the report, they charged me with that. So
You had to get out of jail?
Yeah, I didn't have a bond at first. Then they set my bond at $250,000.
Damn.
And I bonded out.
Okay, so now you end up go to jail throughout the situation, and now the process still in court. We don't have to talk about that situation, but do you feel like the system is treat you unfairly?
Hell yeah. The system definitely treated me unfairly. Throughout this whole process, when I finally made the $250,000 ridiculous bond that they set for me, they set me up. When I was initially on bond for her gun, and then I end up catching this situation. So I was out on bond and then I get arrested again. So when I made the bond, Douglas County put in a motion to revoke my other bond. So soon as I got out, I had to go to court, but I had to go to surgery. So I'm in surgery, and the next day after surgery, the sheriff department come to the hospital and say, "Hey, you got court. We serving you for court." And I'm like, I'm in the hospital, bro. I just had surgery yesterday. They're like, "Yo, we just doing our job." So I go home. Court was in the morning, but we had a excuse. You know, I just got out of the hospital. I just had surgery. I'm heavily medicated, you know. And they had said that they was taking care of it with my lawyer. They put out a warrant instead. So I just get out of surgery. A couple days later, they come and arrest me. Put me back in jail and don't give me a bond. Then they take me to court and I finally see her. This is my first time seeing her since the incident. She 9 months pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Well, they revoked my bond. Now I gotta sit in jail and wait for them to, you know, to decide what they're gonna do.
So, you know, before all the stuff get to that level, you guys, how was you guys' relationship before the polygamy thing, all the mess? Because the thing is, I want people to understand things don't just explode. It's always a reason. So how was you guys' relationship before all that? You guys always been tough, you know, and argument always happened since the beginning, or is
my girlfriend or
no the one with
the other situation?
Correct.
We had a real good relationship.
It was good. Okay.
We had a real good. We born in the same month. We born in the summertime.
Okay.
And we kind of just alike. You know what I'm saying? So we got along.
So it kind of like, you know, of course, you know, that's how most relationship is, start good and then at the end it's like, it's, you know.
But you know what? When I realized that this person was just like me, you know, even though I was enjoying it, you know, it wasn't enjoyable no more because now, you know, trust gone because I know I know what I'm doing, you know, and the whole time I'm thinking that she don't mind what I'm doing. She don't mind because she doing what she doing.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
But now, since you say that, since she didn't mind what she was doing, you know, we men, you know, our feelings and the woman feelings are different thing. So, did you when you find out she's doing things she shouldn't be doing, in my opinion, right? Do that kind of hit you different, or did you feel like, okay, cool, I'm already doing my thing, so it's all good?
Nah. You know how men are. So it's like,
that's what I say.
You know, we think I'm feeling like I got 2 full-time girlfriends and they both faithful, you know.
Got it.
But the way things turn out, you know, that wasn't the truth.
Gotcha. Now let me ask you a question. If you had to start this relationship over, or if you would have met her on the streets, would you still approach her, or would you still try this relationship?
No.
Now, if you want to have a message for any young man, I mean, I'm gonna have to bring you back now because after the case is closed, I really want to go to detail. But you know, of course, you have to finalize this case. You know, everything needs to be closed out, and hopefully it goes in both of you guys' favors, where she go okay and you go okay. I don't know between you and her, whatever, but whatever that happened, that's gonna be in. But when that done, I'll be able to go a little bit detailed. We can speak more, and also I definitely want to bring you back for before, you know, and who you are from way back and everything. Okay, so now if you had a message you would have sent out there for, I don't want to say young kids, because this is a grown man business. Any man that's out there that thinking about to do polygamy. So what would it be, the message?
Yeah, definitely don't just apply to the youth, but any man, because you know you could be any age and be any certain mentality, you know. But I feel like, you know, make the most out of what you got, you know, appreciate it, because you know I had everything I prayed for. I had it. I had the house, you know, nice cars, educated, you know. We both making money doing what we want to do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, just out of lust and greed, you know, I end up
lost everything,
you know, and it wasn't worth it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like the loss and the betrayal was worse. It hurt worse than the gunshots. It hurt worse than all of the nights and the nightmares in the hospital. The betrayal still hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Losing the person, you know, me and that girl had a lot of history. So, you know, losing her as a friend, that hurt. It still hurt to this day.
So, now, did you ever sit down and thinking of, you're thinking of them, did you ever see her shooting at you a day in your life? Did you ever picture that?
Never. I would have never. And, you know, growing up in the streets, you always on alert for something. But I never would have foreseen somebody who told you I love you a couple of days ago trying to murder me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never would have, you know. And the crazy thing is, every day I think about I could die today. You know, but the one day I didn't think about it all day was the day that it almost happened. Yeah.
Wow. This is one of the story that's kind of like really tight, because it's so many layers that's in the story. But and like we already had a conversation, there's a lot of stuff we cannot speak about, so we're gonna have to probably bring you back for a little bit more personal, and especially about more detail about deep in the story. But I think we cover a lot of good when it comes to the story. Now, throughout this whole process, what is the best lesson you learned?
Too many, but I feel like two. One is something that I always say, because in the heat of the moment we can get irresponsible. Mm-hmm. And I learned that selfishness, you know, I used to think that selfishness was like the lack thereof of you know, like generosity. You know, I'm just stingy. But I learned that selfishness is when you don't realize the role that you play in other people's life. You know what I'm saying? My kids rely on me to be able to call me, to be available. You know what I'm saying? I have clients, and these people schedule their day around training with me. You know, and to some people, I'm a mentor. You know, I'm finishing my master's degree in psychology, so, you know, I'm working in a hospital, you know, doing therapy with, you know, mental health patients. So, you know, I'm this to all of these people. And so, you know, when I, in hindsight, I'm looking at my life like, damn, that was really selfish of me to let this situation consume me so much. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned. And it was another one that I always, being careful what you ask for.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. So God speak back to you now. So as you just say something, so you're a trainer. So
right.
So okay. So since you're a trainer, I'm talking about family rise and everything.
Everything.
When that video start get to the social media, how much this video impact he make around your life?
A lot, man. I mean, a lot of people, because I'm a trainer and because I have that kind of energy, a lot of people respected me, and I've never been perfect. Like, I have a past, but I had grown into a well-respected person, and not, I'm not blaming nobody else on why people might have lost respect for me. I understand that. Look, this is your doing. This is you decided to, but now today I lost a lot of relationships
because of that situation. Because
just what people heard. People quick to judge without knowing the facts or the true story.
Okay. I mean, now people know every story got two sides. So now people know your side. Since
right.
You come to share about it. Now, I don't want to go to detail of you being a trainer because, like I say, you're gonna come back. We can go more like personal life, and we come to the conversation more for you to speak about the situation. And for people that's online, they kind of have a lot to say about you. And I want you to come and clear and give a little bit of detail, even if you don't give deep to the detail. But now, for anybody who's watching this podcast, now, if you had a message to tell them when they see that video and who you are, what would it be?
When you see stuff like that and it's just clips, that is just the narrative. You can't believe everything you see on social media. Or, things might be deeper than they look. It's a lot of people who've been in other situations and they might take sides with this or they might take sides with that. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. So at the end of the day, you can't judge somebody by what you see on the internet.
Now, I might ask you this last question. If you had a message you would have sent out there for somebody who have a toxic relationship, what would be the message?
Those toxic relationships, they have a lot of different variables, a lot of, different reasons. This person is wrong, that person is wrong. And then you have dependencies. Those are the kind of like the worst ones. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I seen a lot of stories where a woman, she might pack everything up and move away. Actually, the individual that I have an incident with, she told me a story. She said, I was in a toxic relationship and I wanted out. She said, so what I did was I waited for him to go to work. I packed up all of my stuff and moved to the other side of the country. But I feel like, you should look at things like a win-win. If you walking away, even for a toxic person, try to get a win-win out of that. A lot of times, people don't have closure, and that kind of keep one person attached or one person chasing or whatever. But give somebody closure and try to negotiate. You know what I'm saying? Because you can negotiate with a toxic motherfucker. You could deal with they appeal to their ego. So I don't, because everything is also the person that you're dealing with. You got to know where that person is. Where they willing to go. You got, because sometimes, a lot of times, these women they know these dudes be crazy, man. They know these niggas is crazy. How you gonna be doing something and your nigga is a lunatic? You know what I'm saying? Or like niggas be cheating and they know your girl, every time you come in the house, she scratch your face up, she stab you. Next time it's gonna be this. You know, so I think that kind of taking an approach of like a win-win for everybody is the best way to get out of that toxic shit. You know, Shorty, she showed me a trick, right? In her divorce, she took $150,000 out of her equity. She broke that nigga off $50,000.
Is that something you can talk about? I just want to make sure.
I don't know, but
I just want to make sure.
Maybe if he can't go, it can't go. But I felt like, damn, that was smooth. She broke the nigga off $50,000.
So
don't feel like
the guy go his way, and
he bought a house, bought a truck. Got a new girlfriend. And she was able to just slide away with
I got you. So most likely you would say if somebody in a toxic relationship, it's better you guys negotiate and have a conversation. If y'all can separate in a okay way, it's better so it don't lean to those type of incident.
Yeah, for real. Because a lot of times, like I said, and unfortunately, a lot of times people be codependent on each other. So if that person is dependent on you for this, try to offer that person what they need. I can't give you my love no more. But if you love me, this is what I need. So let me give,
I got you. So now, did you ever, probably you working out, or you train somebody, or you lay down, you about to sleep, and did that ever reflect to you heavy? Like, talk about like, you just sit down and then
think about the situation.
Yeah.
All the time, all day, every day. I try to, stay doing, especially the gym. The gym is my therapy. I try to keep it to the back of my mind, but just because it's ongoing and it's a lot of unanswered questions and it's a lot of regret, you know what I'm saying? And I learned something else. I was listening to a book and I learned that, that regret comes from unforgiveness, and the whole cheating aspect and the whole just, not being grateful for what I already had. I still haven't forgiven myself for that. I still haven't forgiven myself for not being strong enough to walk away. Sometimes I feel like that first time when that person was crying and crying, I should have let her cry. My ex told me, she said, listen, I was about to cheat on you. She said, but I thought that, you might take it to the extreme, so I didn't go that route. She says, and I was strong enough to walk away from that. She said, but you couldn't walk away from that person. And so, I regret that.
Gotcha. Hey man, I would say appreciate you for coming to come share your story to the whole world, and a good clarification for the whole video. And now, if anybody wanna reach out to you from social media, do you wanna share your social media?
Yeah. So I'm definitely training, virtual coaching. Reach out to me at IamKareemAli.com or Full Force Fitness Results. And
that's Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook.
TikTok, K100.
K100 TikTok.
Yeah, and come be a part of this journey, because right now I'm on a, it really took me back to a place where now I'm on I'm on an inner journey. I'm trying to cleanse. You gotta cleanse all of that shit out of you.
Definitely.
So yeah, come be a part of the journey, man. A lot of things affected me, so I could definitely use the support.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a GoFundMe. It's called I Am Kareem Ali. Okay. Just to help get my life back on track. We lost everything. $250,000 bond, over $30,000 and lawyer fees, and everything else that come with it. So I'm just trying to get back on track.
Gotcha. All right, man. Appreciate you for coming, and thank you so much. And I hope you come back when the whole thing is over.
Soon.
So, and I pray God that everything works out the way it should be. We be able to go a little bit detail, and also we can talk about your fitness journey and your backstory. People can really know exactly who you are. But this one, it's
check it out. I ain't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
I've been working, so I'm working on some material. I would have been finished if I didn't have that setback. I would have been finished up with the masters. But I got a book on Amazon.
Beautiful.
It's called Triple Crossed.
Triple Crossed is already out.
Yep, it's an urban fiction novel, and I got a book coming out in about a week or so. The book is finished up, but I'm still doing some, last minute touches about my journey. So I want y'all to check that out too.
Okay, sound great, man. Anybody who's out there watch the video, make sure you go ahead and get his book on Amazon.
Triple Cross, yeah.
Triple Cross. So, man, appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
That was a good conversation, bro.